Hi, this is Robert Kiyosaki, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. This is the most important thing you can listen to today.
Here's the one.
I have a dream.
With great power comes great responsibility.
I could do this all day.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Cinderella's story out of nowhere.
It's in the home. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Capital Hacking begins in 3, 2, 1.
You are invited. Yes, you. You are invited to the December 6th and 7th VIP experience called Learn and Grow. It's where the accountable equity investors who are already partners meet up with keynote speakers. We learn trends in alternative investing. We learn directly from our peers, and we also meet new friends. And we'd love for you to become a new friend of ours and benefit from this. I would call it an accredited investor mastermind, where there'll be keynote speakers like Gino from Jake and Gino and Julia Barbaro speaking on all topics related to alternative investing, family legacy, and incredible life-changing topics, as well as Jeff Rutt. Now, Jeff Rutt is famous for impacting the world with over a $1.5 billion measurable impact on the world's most needy. Cannot wait to share that story with you. Couple that with great massage treatments, unique chef experiences, the ice skating wonderland with 20 different amenities going on. Your kids will love it. You'll love it. Your spouses are going to love it. Everyone's going to love it. We made sure it meets all different personality types. It's a fun experience. It's time for us to break bread. We'd love to have you there. Welcome back to the big show. Josh McCown here, honored to be hosting with the world famous John Edwin. John, welcome to the big show.
Well, Josh, it is so great that you are back with me, man. So we're, we had our guest podcaster with me, Alex Felice. Alex, you did a great job, but it's great to have the OGs back in the house.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So today, guys, we interviewed Mike Neubauer, and does he have a crazy story from being homeless to firefighting, becoming financially free through real estate? You are going to love this show.
You are going to love it. Mike is the quintessential dream first, succeed second. Because look, the guy moved to Maui with no money and no job and no plan, because he said, I want to be in Maui someday. So he said, I'll just go there now. So we learn a little bit about Hawaii, and we learn a lot about different real estate strategies that I think you can implement today.
Let's go.
John, we have greatest guests on this show, and today is no disappointment. I think we're going to have a great day.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Neubauer is on the show. Mike, can you give us a little background on who you are, and then we'll get into some business stuff?
Sure, man. I mean, I'm just kind of an average everyday Joe. I mean, I was a firefighter here in Hawaii for 10 years, got started in real estate investing and kind of hit financial freedom about 7-8 years into firefighting. And then, after I hit 10 years, it was like, you know what, I'm going to do this full time. And so I've just kind of been on that journey now for quite a few years, and it's been phenomenal.
But
Awesome.
By the way, it's hard to be a normal person from Hawaii, because it's like we grew up watching The Family Feud and Price is Right, and it's like been the dream since I was like a micro-size boy to go to Hawaii. I've never been there. By the way,
really?
Are you from there, Mike?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it was my dream too, right? So like I went to art school in Colorado for graphic design and photography, and then, just kind of maneuvered my way out here somehow to Maui about, almost 25 years ago now. And I never looked back. But, it's had its ups and downs like everything else. Like I just kind of always followed my heart. At some point I was homeless on the beach, and, next thing you know, I'm a firefighter, and now I'm just kind of living the life.
Yeah, well, those are kind of badass things you just throw out there. I mean, like, I was homeless living on North Shore, Hawaii, and then, which sounds pretty romantic in and of itself, like something out of a movie. And then a firefighter. I mean, there's no badder ass, civil service, kind of thing than being a firefighter. As a matter of fact, who was it? Yeah, that's right. There was a rally the other day, and they were talking about running into the fire is very rare.
Yeah.
thing. And have you had to fight some fires? What was
Yeah,
like one of
yeah,
the most
definitely.
dramatic fire you had to fight?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm going to go back to the first fire that I was ever involved with. You can train and you can train and you can train, right? We did 6 months of recruit class training, and we had all these scenarios and everything else, and we fought live fire in there. But when you get to your first actual house fire, you kind of see how the real deal unfolds, and it's a mess. It's a cluster everywhere, and you see the guys that are running in there scared out of their minds and not really knowing what they're doing and pointing at, put the water there, put the water there, put the water there. And the reality is you got to kind of take that breath, and you got to step back and be like, nope, there's the seat of the fire. We're just going right to the seat, and we're putting the water there, and it'll take care of the rest, right? So, finding the priorities, and that goes back to like lots of things, right? We can assimilate that with real estate investing,
I like
or
that.
anything else, is like find the focus, and then everything else will fall in place.
So it's called the seed of the fire.
The seat, yeah, like
Or
where
the
it's
seat.
sitting, right?
Ah, okay. Seat of the fire. I think that is actually a metaphor, Mike. I'm sure you're going to get into that. Go ahead.
Well,
John.
maybe.
Here's the questions that come to my mind. You'd said that it was a childhood dream to move to Hawaii. Now,
Sure.
most people would become successful first. I would think the steps would be, let me get financially free and then move to Hawaii. But you just jumped and moved, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You were sleeping on the beach.
Yeah.
How did you progress to becoming a firefighter?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Success has never been anything that's really followed me around until very, very recently. However, I was always that kind of romantic person where it's like, I'm going to go after my dreams, and I'm going to try everything, and I'm going to fail at all of them, because at some point this will work out, right? And so, I went to art school. I went to the Colorado Institute of Art, is what it was called at the time. Now it's the Art Institute of Colorado. Actually, I don't even know if it's still around. But I think they may have gone under. But anyway, I studied photography after school with a buddy of mine out in Italy. And then I got a call from a friend of mine from art school. He's like, hey, man, I'm thinking about moving to Hawaii. What do you think? And I got like no lira left in my wallet. And I was like, dude, I hear Maui's nice. If you want to go out to Maui, I'm in. And so he and I moved out here together. And to get to the firefighter part, I was pretty good as a graphic designer, branding, identity, that kind of thing. But I knew I never wanted to work for anyone else. And my buddy was kind of more of the hustler. And so he was hustling clients and this and that. And he was not a designer at all. Well, he ran into this group of firefighters who wanted some work. And so, they wanted to trade surfboards for logos and that kind of thing. And but anyway, we ended up making this really nice connection. And they were a group of firefighters that were teaching surfing over on Oahu. And we were living on Maui, but I was flying back and forth to help these guys out. And they're like, dude, you got no money. You've got, no health care. You got nothing. You got nothing set aside for the future. Why don't you just go take the firefighter test? And I had no idea. I was like, firefighter? Look at me. I'm 140 pounds, dude. I can't be a firefighter. I'm like, just take the test, take the test, take the test. Well, what I didn't know is like, I sign up for the test. I go in there, and there's like 2,700 people there to take this test.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's huge. This is like the biggest job you can get in Hawaii. And I had been here already for like 10 years by this point. And I knew nothing. But I took the test, and the doors kept opening. Apparently I did okay on it. I trained really hard for the physical exam, which, it took about 3 years from the time I took the test to actually getting to the physical exam. It's just such a backlog.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
And then they ended up hiring 13 guys out of 2,700. And I was one of those 13 guys. It's like, little skinny, scrawny kid from Chicago. And it was an incredible experience, but the doors kept opening. And like I said, I just kept walking through it. So, yeah.
I love that. And then what got you into real estate from being a firefighter? It sounds like you were doing both at the same time.
Yeah. So, I got into firefighting, and it was great. It was the first like actual job that I had that actually paid enough that I could live on. I mean, by this point in my life, I'm 33 when I get into the fire department, and I've got a whole lifetime of living on ramen noodles. So like my budget is good, man. Making $40,000 a year living in Hawaii, that's a dream. But one of my senior firefighters at the time was a real estate investor, and he was, kind of dabbling and had been doing it for a few years. And I was seeing this data that he was showing me is like all this money he's making. And I'm saying, dude, what are you doing here? Like, you should be like 10Xing what you're doing. This is amazing. And so, then it was like I started going all in on bigger pockets and, reading every book out there and networking with as many people as possible. And at this point, like, there was no real estate investing community on Maui. And so, we just kind of started going down that road, and I started, using my senior firefighter as like, hey, can I bounce some ideas off of you? One thing led to another. We built an ADU onto our house, or we call them Ohanas here. Built an Ohana.
Nice.
It started paying us back. And then it was like, well, we'll take all that money because I make 40 grand living in Hawaii. I'm rich. And I'm going to put that into a down payment on a short-term rental. Let's go. And then so we did that. And then we did the same thing. We never pulled any of that money out. We just kept reinvesting it into more short-term rentals and more short-term rentals. And finally, into syndications and things like that. And that's kind of where we're at today. We've got, handful of properties in pretty awesome locations, and we got a decent portfolio behind us.
John, may I follow up on that?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
So, Mike, when we think about Hawaii real estate, we think millions and millions of dollars.
Yep.
So, is there a part of Hawaii that's not millions of dollars? Like, what was your first investment?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So our first investment, I suppose, was the property that we were living in. And so I had a condo in 2005 that I bought, and I borrowed money to buy that condo from, my folks. And I bought it with an ex-girlfriend. She and I broke up. I ended up buying her out. And then, 2008 hits, and we're in this condo. And so I start house hacking. I get renters in there that, 2-bedroom condo. I'm sharing a room with people. And it kind of like, it got to the point where I could not, I bought my ex-girlfriend out of the property, but I could not get her off of the mortgage because the condo was worth way less than what we were under contract for on it. And so what I ended up doing is we had this long conversation. She's like, I want out. I want this off. And so we're like, all right. So we ended up short selling that property. But before we did that, we bought a house here, this house actually that I'm in right now, from a contractor who we knew. That he builds a lot of like affordable housing communities and stuff like that out here. And he's like, hey, I had just gotten married. He's like, hey, I know you guys are kind of a young couple. We got this house that we're taking back. We're basically foreclosing on it from the tenants. We've remodeled it, everything else. It's ready to go. We're like, there's no way we can afford this. We're like giving up this house right now. But we ended up getting it under contract. And again, walking through the doors, right? Like, hey, if this works out, it would be amazing. Well, it worked out. And so we ended up basically short selling the condo to get into this house at $375. The condo we bought at $260. This is in 2005. We bought it at $260,000. We bought this house in 2012 for $375.
Nice.
And we went from a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo to a essentially 5-bedroom, 3-bath home.
Wow.
Right? And so that was, at that time, like you couldn't give away properties, right? So we're just kind of starting that upswing a little bit. But then, it was right around this time where we're starting to learn a lot more about real estate and investing and that kind of thing. And so we ended up doing a home equity loan, not a HELOC, but a home equity loan. I'm sure probably a lot of your listeners don't even know what that is, because we didn't understand finance at that point. But we took a home equity loan to build an Ohana or an ADU onto this place. And so that's when we kind of got that first taste. And it was, about a year after we did the Ohana that we did a cash out refi on this house. And at this time, this house is now worth like $800,000 or something. It was pretty soon thereafter we built the Ohana. And we ended up paying cash for a short-term rental.
Nice.
And so, fast forward, this is 2018 now. And so now fast forward till now. We just sold that first property that we paid $540,000 for. We put a bunch of sweat equity into it, but we just sold it for $1.365 million.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah. So like the power of compounding and real estate and appreciation is incredible in Hawaii. And you're right. Like you can't get into much under $1 million.
Okay, good.
Now.
Okay, so there really is no secret sauce.
No.
These are like incrementals with that ADU.
Buy and hold. Buy and hold. That's the secret, man.
I love it. And you were doing this while you were still working as a firefighter. It sounds like you did it for, from what I understand, 7 years. You were doing real estate on the side, and then in that 7 years, you became financially free through your passive income, right?
Correct. Yep.
And then now you're doing it full time, right?
Yep. Yeah. But so with the go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I was going to say, but then I think you also have an education program where you're helping others replicate kind of what you did.
Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of getting started with that, right? Like they say that you're best positioned to help the person that you once were. Well, I was once a mess, so I'm here to help those kind of people. But you know, at this point, like there's a lot of people with a lot of goals in real estate, and some of them are to have $1 billion worth of assets and 100,000 doors and all that. That's not my goal. Right. So like I'm happy with where I'm at, and certainly I want to grow and I want to do new things, but I also want to give back too. And so we just started this Our Family Invests, moniker on Instagram and YouTube and whatnot. But we're going to try and build that out to be kind of more of an educational platform, and not just real estate, but like personal development and all the kind of things that go into being successful. At least that what we've learned, right, along the way. And my wife is my partner on everything, and she's been, the backbone to a lot of what we're doing. And so I think a lot of it comes to like doing it together. If you're a married couple or whatever, your spouse has got to kind of be on board too, right? So we're trying to do it as a family.
No, I find that. And do you have kids?
I have one. Yeah, I have a 8-year-old son, Nico. Yep. And so we're trying this, not just for other people and for people that were in our position, but also for our son to kind of keep him in the loop and get him a little bit of knowledge. Hopefully there will be a little bit of osmosis that transfers over to him, and he learns a bit or two along the way.
Hi, this is Melanie McCallan. Josh and I are just so grateful for the many investors who have already joined us at Accountable Equity. Accountable Equity is so much more than a capital group. It's really a community of accredited investors that want to learn and grow together. I just want to personally invite you, if you want to find out more about this type of investment and see if it's right for you and your family, please visit us at accountableequity.com.
Hey, it's Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. Enjoy.
No, and I know, Josh, I'm sorry, I'm going to hand it right over to you in a second. I keep asking these questions,
It's good.
I find it unusual because most couples don't work together. They're not business partners. My wife and I, we have been business partners since we were 25, and I launched my first business. And I know Josh and Melanie are business partners, and Mike, you said you and your wife. So how do you two work together without getting in each other's way?
Yeah, I think we really have our own lanes, and we know that what those are, right? So when I left the fire department, we knew that one of us was going to have to be a real estate agent, because we wanted to make sure that we had that real estate professional status. And I thought that was a good way for us to kind of, get kind of the first look at certain deals and whatnot. And so we both went through the real estate course and whatnot, and it became very, very obvious. She's great with people. She's an incredible, incredible person. And so she has become like this top Maui real estate agent out here. She's become phenomenal. And my lane is more of the acquisition side and, the running of the investments and all that kind of stuff. So we know where we stand, but we also we'll powwow, once a week or more if we get a chance on just anything that's going on in our business and where we want to go. And we make sure that we're aligned. We have a Wednesday mornings, we have this thing called coffee, and where it's like, we're going to go out, we're going to grab coffee and whatever comes of it. And usually it's just us sitting around talking about real estate or what we want to do next.
Yeah, I'm on your website now, and so today that company is called Our Family Invests, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And dude, I love it. I'm on this page. There's a lot of our friends are on here with your podcast references. I didn't know AJ Osborne has a new podcast. That's great.
AJ is a great friend of ours. He and his wife are super huge inspirations of ours, and so we just had dinner with them a few weeks ago, and like having those circles of people who are just inspirational, right, and that you can learn from, I think that's so huge. So yeah, I mean, all those people on those podcasts, and we have Alex Felice is a mutual friend of ours, so he's a phenomenal individual. Love him, and Miss Kate, his fiance.
Yes, that's right. We all have to call her Miss Kate, which I love calling people Miss their first name.
Right?
Very Southern. And then the guys, the Frasers too, huh? It sounds like, and of course Brandon Turner is your buddy out there.
Yep.
You've done a lot of stuff. I didn't know. Is AJ living in Hawaii now?
No, he's in Boise. But we see them at a lot of conferences and things like that. So when we get together, it's a really nice feeling. And we've been up and spent time at their house. He spent time down here at our house. So just love those great people.
And so as your by the way, Caroline is your wife's name, and Nico.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So she's been doing real estate on Maui for how many years as a agent broker?
So she has been an agent here for about 4 years now, I believe.
So why not ask you the curious 2 questions about Hawaii that we
Sure.
What's one surprise, easier thing or better thing about living there than we would expect? And what's the number one hardest part about living in Hawaii?
So the easy thing about living here is that there are there's no keeping up with the Joneses here. Nobody cares. Everyone drives a Toyota Tacoma, so like it's just what color you're going to drive it, right? So we don't have that. Nobody cares anything about you. Another one of the easy things is we have no entertainment. Nobody comes here. I'm on Maui, so we have 150,000 people. So like we're not getting the Rolling Stones coming through, so we don't have to worry about spending money on entertainment. We go to the beach, we buy a surfboard or bodyboard or something like that. And that's it. We hang out there. So it becomes an easy place for everybody to kind of cohabitate and just be on the same level. So that part I love. The flip side of that is, like we were talking about before, it is extremely expensive here. So if you don't have a budget for ramen noodles, well, like filet is going to cost you a whole lot of money. And that gets hard after a while. It gets hard too that, we're on a small island and there's only so many times I can do the same hike over and over. We have to get off the rock and go travel a couple times a year in order to just kind of keep our sanity.
Yeah. So how many times is that a year? And where do you go?
I try and go 4 times a year, so like once a quarter. But I just got back. We're doing this. We have this house in Arizona that we just renovated, and I was out there for 4 months. The 4 worst months of the year in Arizona. And so now I kind of want to stay here, but I'm actually going to Mexico and LA next week. Or 2 weeks from now. So we'll still try and travel a bunch and just keep things interesting.
And okay, so here's a curious question. So I've never been to Hawaii. Definitely want to come.
Should.
So as someone who's never been to Hawaii, I know there's a bunch of different islands, but that can also eat up your time if you have a week or 10 days or something. So let's just say if I were coming for a week, what island would you recommend to visit?
So I'm certainly biased. I've been to all the islands, of course. I've been living on Maui for 20 something years. I do think it's the best island for me because it's kind of everything that I was looking for. It's kind of small town kind of feel, but it's got all the nature and everything else, the waterfalls and the beaches and all that stuff is the best in the world. Oahu's great if you're more into like looking for a city and that kind of thing. And there's some really incredible scenery over on Oahu too. Kauai, same thing. All the islands are a little bit different, but I would say if you're coming for a week, I would just choose one and go with it, because all the islands, you could spend a week on any island here and have an incredible time. Molokai is my favorite island personally, but it's just super, super remote, and there's not really much going on there. So it's like a, get away from everything and go write a book kind of island.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
And if our listeners want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so I've been kind of pushing that Our Family Invests now. We just started this thing, so I think probably on Instagram would be the best way to connect, at Our Family Invests. We've got all the social media platforms, but honestly, the Instagram's the only one that I actually go to. So that would be the best spot.
Mike, it's a pleasure, buddy. And
thanks, Josh.
I'm going to summarize your life in my mind as the guy who dreamt it first and didn't wait till success came first to go live the dream.
Thank you. I appreciate
through the doors,
that.
brother. I love it.
Walk through the doors, and you even go to Arizona in the dead of summer, which was dangerous. People say it's so freaking bad, man. I just talked to a guy who lived there, and he's like, I can't take it anymore. I'm out. Yeah, but it's a pleasure to get to know you, Mike. You're always welcome,
Josh.
here.
John, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother.
Damn straight. We just got buddy. We got to the end of another great show, and everyone listening right now, you're the family and friends. Thanks for staying till the end.
That was so fun. And hey, hit the like, hit subscribe. We're here to serve you guys. That's why we're doing this show. Josh is not paying me. I'm doing this off of my quote unquote sweat equity, because we want to make a difference in your life. And then that ripple effect will continue to touch the world.
Hey, amen, brother. Please check us out on capitalhacking.com, all the social media threads. And yes, I know you've probably already sent this episode to one of your best friends. Thank you. We love you. Just go right into your iPhone, hit the plus symbol. We'll talk to you later. See you next week.
Share.